Hello ladies and gentlemen, Malikicowtipper here with another game of StarCraft 2, and today my opponent is Zen. Let's see if he can find his Zen place on Cloud Kingdom today. And my girlfriend's looking rather cute, even though she's sleepy right now before she goes to work, and she's giving me the middle finger, so I might have to oblige her a little bit later on. And now she's smiling. Anyway, the Zen, the red Protoss, is spawning in the upper position of Cloud Kingdom, and I'm Malikicowtipper. I'm spawning as the blue Zerg in the lower position. Let's bring up all of the goodies for you guys. And I know I just posted a game I think it was just yesterday, maybe even today, of ZVP on this map, and I feel like I've been casting a lot of games on Cloud Kingdom, and I don't have this map favorited, but as much as I kind of don't like the layout for Zerg on the map, I have been winning a lot of games on the map, and it really comes down to just having good map control. A lot of basic fundamentals really come into play when you're taking a look at a map like this. And it does actually have a few advantages. Some of these terrain structures, like this right here, or this right here, perfect for Broodlords. You can send your Broodlords over this wall, attack this base, and there's almost nothing he can do about it. It's really very, very awesome. You can do the exact same thing with all the high ground, the terrain features. Actually lead me to believe that this could be a very, very good Zerg map, and maybe I'm just not seeing it, but for the time being, we're going to see a pylon down here, and more than likely followed by a Forge Force. Yep, there's the Forge, and let's see if I can block that Forge. I'm probably not going to succeed, because for some reason I thought he was trying to wall in back here, but he was not. He's trying to wall in at the opening, like they always do, and that was just kind of a mistake on my part, but not really too big of a deal. We can see he has a probe hanging out in front of my base, and you can see by my number of workers that I'm more than likely getting ready to expand, and I was not able to sneak a drone past him. Usually the Protoss will be circling their probe around, and as they come around this side, you grab this drone, you're like, oh, hey guy, and you go and expand. But in this case, I'm not worried. I can go pool first, and I can basically reverse the order of my build. Instead of doing 16 hatch, 16 pool, 16 gas, I will do 16 pool, 16 gas, 16 hatch. And you might be wondering why I'm getting a gas so fast against a Protoss when you really don't need to. Depending on the type of game that you're playing, I'm going to be going for early aggression against this Protoss. And I'm going to show him, you know what, if you want to wall in, if you want to take this Forge first and then build a Nexus right away, I'm gonna punish you for it. I much prefer that you do a 4-gate, because then I can beat that back and win the game. But, you know what, I'm just going to do this, and you're not going to have any clue what's coming. So we can see that I'm avoiding putting units on gas for just a little bit. There we go. Put that guy in there, and one more ought to do it. So I'm going to keep them on gas, and I'm pretty much going to be harvesting straight away. The plan of attack is, as soon as the queen on this building is finished, and she should be building right about now, is to take this straight to lair tech, and then build a Hydra Den, a Nautilus, and put it somewhere right over here. And you do need to have your Overlord in position. You need to scout this out. You can't just blind Nidus in, otherwise he's going to be like, oh cool, probes, and your Nidus is down, and you're down, whatever in the game that you wasted. We can see I'm actually going to be able to keep my scouting drone alive for a very long time in his base, and he's just going to build this tech down here. We can see we have the Nexus coming up. He does not even have a gateway up and running yet, so I really do not have to worry about any type of aggression. I've got decent vision. It's one of those things where he could be trying to build, cannons over here and mess with my stuff that way, but I'm not too worried about seeing the Nexus first. I'm feeling pretty good about the build and the composition that I'm going with. Income right now is about dead even, favoring me by no longer favoring me, and that's just kind of how it goes in this early game. But one thing that you have to do with this build is you need to get your minerals up, and you need to just focus on droning. You have a place that you need to get to, and if you don't get to it, if the attack doesn't end the game right there, you have absolutely nowhere to go with it, and it just leaves you in a very, very bad position. So we can see right here that I'm now taking a second gas now that I'm about 1/4 of the way through morphing my lair tech, and that's because I need to get a lot of gas up for Hydras. They are double the expensive Roach, and they're 25 more minerals, so they're a very expensive unit to throw at the Protoss, but they do exceptionally well against the units that the Protoss brings early in the game, particularly Zealots and Stalkers. So, and the idea is he's teching up thinking that I'm going to make a push with Roaches, or that's what my early army composition is going to be, my stepping stone, but I'm just not even going to go Roaches in this game. I feel that if my endgame is Broodlords, if I can avoid going Roaches, even better. Just because that's less money I need to waste. I don't need to spend the resources on them or anything like that. So we can see that I'm continuing to harvest up, get more harvesters. I'm starting to spread a little bit of creep right now, just because I want to have that vision. Just in case something's coming my way, I want to know what's going on. But this drone giving me good information. I could see that his cyber core wasn't even finished yet, and that makes me feel really good that if I can get this done quick enough, warp gates might not even reasonably done by the time my attack comes, depending if he uses Chrono Boost on it or not. And he is, which I personally think is a very good choice. I love Chrono Boost in warp gates, just because they're such a useful tool. You want to have them on the field as quick as possible. My Hydra Den is coming up, and when you lay the Hydra Den, that's when you also want to get your Zergling speed, and you want to be floating a lot of gas while you're doing this, because a Nidus is 200 out of 200 to build, and Hydras cost 50 gas apiece, and then to actually build the Nidus Worm, you then need another 100 gas and 100 minerals, so you have to think that you need at least 300 gas to pull that off, and you want enough gas to build between 6 and 10 Hydralisks right off the bat with some Zerglings to kind of screen for them, because the Zerglings will screen and help keep the Stalkers away from the Hydras, particularly the Zealots away from the Hydras, and with Hydras, you know, kind of hitting that 8 to 12 number, just become incredibly deadly. It's a wall of just pure death, and we can see here that this is perfect. He is not building any tech units, and that's why I was able, or trying to keep my drone alive for so long in his base, because I needed to make sure that there wasn't a pylon. I'm moving my Overlord over here just because I don't want a rogue, you know, probe to spot him quite so easily. I'm spreading out my Overlords along the sides of the map, going to get myself just a little bit of vision in case there's a Warp Prism, and I'm getting my 4th gas right away. And if we check this out, I am at full saturation at this base. I am at, you know, slightly above full saturation on this base. My Nidus network is coming up right around the 8-minute 30-second mark, and this is where you want to be. You need full saturation on both bases. You know, this economy is 100% ready to go. Maybe could use a few more harvesters, but you know what, it's okay. So right now, it is time to start producing Hydras. 7 Hydralisks coming out. We have 8 Zerglings, and they're all being funneled straight into the Nidus. The Nidus is going to be built kind of right over in this little corner, and then what you want to do is you want to tell your troops generally to rally right up to the mineral line. That way you can start doing damage where it really hurts your Protoss. And if we check out the unit count right now, we can see that he has 6 sentries and 1 zealot. He really does not have a lot to deal with my troops. You can see here that he's actually getting ready to move out with these troops. He's now has ground attack level 1, and he's now researching ground armor level 1, but he has no clue, absolutely no information that my Nidus is coming whatsoever, and that's so cool. You know, I'm really happy about that. And now he hears this, and he's like, oh shit guys, where's it coming? Ha 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 ha. And for me, this is kind of a little bit of a mix-up on my part, where I really should have had these Hydras, you know, go into something a little bit more valuable than, say, this Extractor for right now. But realistically, these troops, they're coming up, and they're just going to be able to start to do a lot of work. All of these probes going to fall to Zergling aggression, just going to be such a big loss for him. Right here, I need to pull my troops back, and I need to make sure that I'm continuing to rally more and more troops. And just so many, so many. But these force fields doing an excellent job at separating out my troops, keeping my Zerglings from getting in there. Those force fields proving invaluable, and are probably one of the main reasons why he's actually going to be able to slow this push down. It's just good force field placement, but we can see that he's lost almost every single one of his probes at his main mining base. More Zerglings continuing to flood out, just allowing the Hydralisks to do what they do, kill everything, and Hydralisks just do so good against this composition. I probably could be focus firing down some of those troops, but I was able to get the last sentry, so that's 6 sentries that he does not have. A lot of these Stalkers are going to go down. Zealots coming in to save the day, but not before the Stalker goes. So all in all, I'm going to stop this attack. It's no longer worth me to continue doing it. Units lost right now, favoring me by quite a bit. That was a very cost-effective attack for me. And we check out the income. You can see that I am up 46 over 30 harvesters, and there's still Zerglings back here killing so many probes. We check out the units killed tab. I have killed 27 workers to his 1. So all in all, I would say that was a very successful attack. I might have even been able to focus down the Nidus had I put some attention towards it, but I'll take what I can get. You know, I have no qualm with that attack, and I know that his army just isn't very large. I know that I killed a huge number of workers, and there's almost no way that he can put any type of counterattack pressure on me whatsoever. He's not even mining gas on this base right here, just slowing him down substantially. So, for myself, I'm going to take a 3rd base, and I probably should have taken this base a little bit earlier, right before I started the pressure, but I was pouring all my money into my units, and we can see here that I'm floating a lot of money just... I did not have enough production facilities to keep that attack up. If I had laid down a macro hatch before I started that attack, and if I could have been going off of 3 hatcheries, I very well could have ended the game right there with just a few more units out on the field or a little bit better placement, not letting those force fields get to me. But you know what, that's okay. I like to go into a macro game. So I just love this because I was able to take the fight to the Protoss, get past their wall. We can see that we have pylons going up here. He's not letting that happen again. And he's really just going to have to turtle at this point. He can't necessarily move out and do too much against me. He knows that I have an Overseer chilling outside of his base. And, oh, that's just so annoying when you're trying to get your units to funnel like that. Build him outside. He himself probably has to seek a third base. There's just almost nothing else that he can do. He has to know that I've taken my expansion, I'm getting my gas, and I'm just going to get that Zerg economy up and running so fast. And if he can't do anything, if he can't, you know, match me base for base and get more units out, he's just going to be dead in the water. If we check out the income, we can actually see that he's done a very good job at replacing those harvesters very quickly. That's one thing that I've noticed a lot of players don't do, is they do not replace their probes quick enough after an attack. They're like, well, I need military units, but I need probes. He just probed back up, got to where he needed to be, and didn't let it phase him. My creep is now approaching the halfway point in the map. This is decent creep spread, but to really stop any type of attack or to know that it's coming, you need to get your creep spread up here. And this high ground, it can be a little annoying just because you do need to run a unit up to stop it, but these overlords are actually going to give me the site I need over here for this creep tumor to pop up, yeah, and just be awesome. I need to take a 4th base down here, and I really should be taking a 5th base as well. I'm just floating so much money right now. But we can see that I have my macro hatch up and coming, my spire is finishing, and I will be taking this to hive tech very soon. And the nice thing about having all of that money floated is I'm going to be able to transition very nicely into Broodlord Infestor Ling. So we can see that I have Pathogen Glands finished. Let's go back to the production tab right here. See that I have Ground Armor Attack and armor almost done. He has Thermal Lance coming, so he's transitioning into Colossus. I'm building some Lings, but I need to be careful not to build too many of the wrong units. Like these Hydras, I built them, and I'm like, wow, I really do not need to build any more Hydras this game. They've literally served their purpose. They're so cool, though. I just love Hydralisks. And I need some Observers as well, just to prevent any type of DT play. It's actually a move that I've seen a lot of Protoss do after an attack like that, where it's like, well, shit, let's build DTs, and right here, almost perfect saturation, 67 over 63. I love what he's doing, just matching my economy, you know, probe for probe, getting that up and running. We can see that even though he took that massive loss and lost all of those probes, that his food count is only about 16 behind mine, and that's impressive. That is very impressive. But for me, I just haven't had the production facilities. I could have used another hatchery very, you know, a lot sooner. I could have gotten these upgrades going sooner just because I have the money to run it. And right now, I'm producing a lot of Corruptors, more Infestors, because I want to have the Corruptors out in the air so I can morph them to Broodlords the second my Greater Spire is done. And my timing was a little bit off for my Hive. It should have been building while the Spire was building, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Now we have the Greater Spire on the way. We have Broodlords in less than 100 seconds, and I am maintaining very good map control. The Protoss basically turtling. And this is something I've seen a lot of Protoss do, and it does two things. One, it basically stops Zerglings from getting into your base, and it's a very effective wall, which is cool. But if I come at you with Broodlords, particularly, let's say, from maybe right over here, where you can't really get to them with your Stalkers here, then you have to rush into my army here, or from back here, I'm just going to work this entire base down. Or even if I do a frontal attack, you have to flank all the way down. So this wall is kind of a double-edged sword, because you're going to lose your gateways in the attack if I come at you with Broodlords, and there's just not that much that you can do about it. We can see that he has a scouting observer on the way, and just not going to have anything to do with it. The Corruptor's like, fuck you, guy. And once he sees my army, he's going to move back. We can see that I've taken a dramatic food leap over my opponent, and that's what I was able to do. I was just able to dump all of that money right into an army, and you know, it's kind of a mixed bag. I don't like floating a lot of money because you feel like you can be doing something with it, but when you have a dedicated endgame, when you know what you're going for, it does two things. You can get that army very quickly, and two, if there's a counterattack, you can just instantly make something happen. So I need to free up food to make Broodlords. So I'm running these Zerglings around, and he has enough photon cannons here where they're just not going to be able to do that much. I am pressing hold to try to get some kills on the probes, and just they were too spread out, too much damage there, and they're all just getting turned into Protoss food. I was able to pick up a few workers there, I think 3 or 4 of them, so I can handle that, nothing wrong. But 8 Broodlords incoming, Adrenal Glands on the way. I have 2-2 finished for my ground attack. The Protoss has 1-1 with no more upgrades in sight. Oh, there we go, ground level weapons level 2 just spawning. Mothership on the way. So I really do like what Zen is doing here. He basically is calling me. He knows exactly what I'm doing. And if he can get a mothership in here and dump my units into an Archon toilet, it's almost GG for me at that point, because this army is so expensive. It is not cheap to replace. Right here you have over 1,000 gas invested in Infestors. You have, let's see here, 8 of those units at 250 gas apiece. I mean, that's almost an entire... That's about 70 to 80% of an entire geyser's worth of gas. It's just almost impossible to... yeah, I'm sorry, I keep rambling. between the Infestors and the Broodlords and the Corruptors, I have over an entire geyser's worth of gas into this one army. And this is an endgame Zerg army right here. This is very scary for a Protoss, especially that the Mothership is still only about halfway done. So he's moving his army out here, attempting to secure a fourth. And I was going to send my Broodlords right over this terrain feature, which I really like. And right here, I need to be careful. I need to not lose so many of my Zerglings and their armor, helping stop them from getting one-shotted by the Lances. He actually didn't kill that many there. The Broodlord's going to come out, and he's hesitant to push out right here. And we can see that I have my Infestors off to the side. I want to drop fungal growths on those units, and he's able to get in closer, but I have my Broodlords spread, so only a few of them are going to go down. Zergling's coming in, just doing a lot of damage. Adrenal glands just about to finish, and dropping Infested Terran, fungal growths all over the place, but I am losing so many of these Infestors. A lot of them are going to die, but there's enough Corruptors here to deal with the Colossus, and all there's left is sentries on the ground. A few Blink Stalkers coming in from the back. The Hydralisks doing a lot of damage against them, even though all they have is ground armor upgrades. And we can see that I have almost a 100 food lead over the Protoss, but the Mothership is out, people. So, well, I should say it's almost out. We can see that he has High Templars coming out, so I am not out of the water at all. This army, especially with how tightly they're packed, I could lose a lot of them, and I have a lot of Corruptors coming on the field. I have Zerglings, but I do not have much of a ground force to speak of anymore, so I do need to be very, very careful of Stalkers, and I need to make very effective use out of my Infestors. And Creep just is going to help me out substantially. I have a lot of Zerglings just kind of chilling back here, not doing much. That's lame. And these Hydralisks, I'm more or less going to use them to clear up food, just because I do not have enough money. I mean, I do not have enough food count to build as many Broodlords as I want. I want like 12 Broodlords just because they're so cool. And I should be getting air upgrade level 2s, but so many Corruptors. And the thing he needs to be careful of is he just does not have enough Stalkers on the ground. We can see he's gas starved. And it must be because of how expensive those Archons are. Right here, I'm more or less sending these Hydras in, and they're actually going to do quite a bit of shield damage to the Mothership before they all manage to die. It's about halfway down, which is actually very cool. And we can see, now that the Mothership's been revealed, I have a two-prong attack. I'm sending my Broodlords over this structure. The Stalkers, they can blink in, but they're just not going to be able to do that much. He's going to lose these buildings. He's going to lose that gas mining time. And I have so many Corruptors here that this Mothership is just going to die very, very quickly. It's going to get... Oh, no! Snap. Almost all of my Corruptors got sucked into the toilet, but... Okay, are the Archons going to go in? Yep, he's going to send them all in, but you know what? All he's going to get is Corruptors out of that. He's not going to kill anything important in my army whatsoever. And now that his army is gone, he has nothing, to deal with these Broodlords here whatsoever. His Forge is down, no more High Templars for him, and I'm just able to fly all of my units out. A lot of Zealots out in the field, but they're just not going to do anything at all against this composition. The Archons and the Stalkers could be somewhat dangerous, but my Broodlord's just in a great spot, fungal growthing everything, and Infested Terran just for good measure. And that's going to be a GG from Zen. So for this game, just very, very fun. I like how if you use a little bit of strategy and some good timing, you can open up a timing attack and do a lot of damage to the Protoss. And as long as you tech behind that, they really won't have an army to deal with, your bases once it's all done. I have my 5th base just about ready to get up and running here, and we can see that I've migrated a lot of my drones very nicely. Income right now at 70 over 72, so I love how macro-orientated Zen was. He just did not have the right army composition to deal with what I was throwing at him, and it just was not good positioning as well. This map definitely has some Zerg-favored features. But I hope you gentlemen and ladies enjoyed the game. This is Malikicowtipper signing out.